over the 2 terms that Trump has picked his daughter as a White House advisor, his son-in-law as a White House advisor, his daughter's father-in-law as a White House advisor, his son's father-in-law, his son-in-law's father as an ambassador, and now his son's fiancée, or ex-fiancée, Kimberly Guilfoyle, as an ambassador to Greece. I'm just asking you, as a general feeling, how do you feel? How comfortable are you with this notion of keeping it in the family? Is this something that you think is good for the American system?
Look, the question to me is whether or not the individual is qualified, not what their family relations are. If he feels that these individuals can best serve him and his administration, I don't have a problem with that. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, and I've been in and around politics for a long time, it's not like you're going to hire people who don't support you or are trying to undermine you.
Representative Mike Lawler doesn't see any reason to have any issues whatsoever about Trump's propensity to choose unqualified family members to influential positions. He doesn't consider the obvious corruption or nepotism involved either. No, you won't be surprised that he has thoughts about other political families' lack of principles when wielding their power.
After the sanctimonious lectures that we all endured over the last few years about Democrats protecting democracy and Republicans being fascists and the greatest threat to the Constitution, the fact is Joe Biden, on his way out the door, pardoned his son, who was convicted of multiple crimes, including tax evasion. And, you know, when you look at the foreign money that poured into the Biden family, $24 million funneled through 20 shell companies, including money that ultimately made its way through Jim and Sarah Biden's bank account to Joe Biden. So there are a lot of questions still to be answered.
Yeah, you know, hyperpartisanship will allow these kinds of guys to speak truth about their opponents' lack of principles while blatantly ignoring or even endorsing their allies' lack of ethics with a straight face. And this comes after Trump pardoned Jared Kushner's father and then nominated him to be the ambassador to France. You know, I get the feeling that Lawler wouldn't be prepared to rubber stamp Hunter Biden being placed in roles as easily as he is to support Trump's decision to do the same. And speaking of new ambassadors nominated by Trump.
And the bedding is temperature regulating, so you sleep just right. It is literally on our bed. We have these sheets. They're fantastic. They keep just the right temperature. Don't you hate it when you get like a hot bed and you got to kick a leg out and da-da-da-da? You know, then shared a bed with Don Jr. He's like a big guy and like hairy, so you get hot in there. So you have to have the cozy earth sheets, I'm telling you.
Kimberly Guilfoyle is being sent off to be the ambassador to Greece. Maybe as a parting gift for her years of loyalty to the family business, now that she's been reportedly replaced by Donald Jr.'s new girlfriend. You know, it's this kind of thoughtless nepotism and shuffling that only serves this family that shows this administration might not be focused on the populism that they promised.
Because so many Americans are fed up with a system that is no longer working for them, that they chose the party and the person that promised to change things, instead of the party that was seen as the defender of the status quo. And there's been a lot of analysis about this. Chris Murphy's talked about it. Bernie Sanders has talked about it. Lots of people have come out and said this is the Democrats' fundamental problem. Do you see this as something that is actually going to get addressed by the Republicans? I mean, they've promised a lot of big change. Is what you're seeing from who Donald Trump has so far surrounded himself with, are these folks that are going to help people out with a predatory insurance system?
Unless RFK Jr.'s raw milk deliveries are gonna cure all these conditions, no, I don't think so. No help is going to come from these Republicans. But you're right that the reason many people turn to them is the desperation.
This sudden concern for our predatory healthcare system after many on the left and the right celebrated the murder of that healthcare CEO might have cornered the incoming Trump administration to find some kind of way to appease their voters' populist expectations. But it may be a tough switch now that they've signaled a complete refusal to do so with so many unqualified elitists and loyalists being put on.
Why is the president-elect choosing absolutely unqualified cabinet secretaries to be at the head of every single agencies? We've got now a worldwide wrestling executive who's going to run education. We've got a sexual predator who was about to have a bipartisan report released by the House of Representatives to be our AG. We've got a Fox News commentator who's going to run the military for us. So if my colleagues across the aisle want to talk about qualifications, they want to talk about efficiency, they want to talk about the federal workforce, then let's talk about it, because you're talking about putting into place leadership in these federal agencies who are absolutely unqualified, who are dangerous, and know nothing about the agencies that they're about to be appointed to lead.
You know, their lack of qualifications might actually be a major factor in why they were chosen. And the vows that they made to dismantle the few instances of access to healthcare in the build-up to the election are going to be hard to run away from.
Healthcare reform is going to be a big part of the agenda. When I say we're going to have a very aggressive first 100 days agenda, we got a lot of things on the table.
No Obamacare?
No Obamacare. Yeah, the ACA is so deeply ingrained. We need massive reform to make this work, and we got a lot of ideas on how to do that.
The previously acceptable vows to take away the only slivers of accessible healthcare that we've got and replace it with Trump's concepts of a plan, along with multiple Republicans' latest promises to eliminate Social Security and Medicare, it won't look very good to the mass number of people that have gone, as they say, woke, and realize that they don't have to be taken advantage of anymore. It's almost like there was this guy that's always been advocating and fighting for those rights that nearly no one else was willing to pay attention to. So, like with everything else, we'll see how this new administration of billionaires plays this one.
I think the vast majority of the American people understand the current healthcare system is broken, it's dysfunctional. Its main function is to provide huge profits for the insurance industry and for the drug companies, and that it is doing. The industries are making huge profits. We need, as you've just indicated, to do what every other major country on earth does. And at a time when we're spending twice as much per capita on healthcare as other people, yeah, we need to move to a Medicare for all, single-payer system, no out-of-pocket expenses, go to any doctor you want. We need to substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs so we're not paying 5 times as much as the people in other countries.